going on, everyone? Dick here, and we are back with another episode of the JDA show, episode 37, coming at you on a Saturday morning. Or actually, no, it's now noontime on February 27th. Jesse, what's up?
What's going on, everybody?
Yeah, no Andy, so somebody decided to pick up a shift when we discussed Wednesday morning that we were recording today, and we found this out last night. So, actually, like I kind of teased last episode, Nick and I are going to be playing each other in trivia. Nick is actually going to be in studio here in the next 15, 20 minutes, so he'll hop in and kind of ride out the show with us, and we'll finish with, some trivia. Then we're going to hold off on the Celtics talk till he gets here, too, because obviously that's a very hot topic in the region right now. But
Nick's a big basketball mind, so
absolutely.
It would be nice.
But yeah, man, I don't know what trying to schedule this stuff with you guys is like pulling teeth. From you, oversleeping to Andy. I still can't. I mean, I told you he has a foot out the door.
Yeah.
And, it's no big surprise that we get into a big argument last episode. He doesn't show up because he doesn't want to face the music.
Oh, man, he's not going to like that one. But
it's almost as bad as you recommending Peter come down here and do the show with us.
It was a bad idea. But he's referring, when he said sleeping in, I had a work meeting today. I was going to go to that, and then we're going to start recording nice and early. And, of course, I slept in.
You're fired. You're looking for a job now.
Yeah, I might be on the mark. I might be a free agent soon, but, yeah. Pretty tough for me right now.
All right, so we're going to start the show off and talk some Patriots before we get to the Celtics. A little bit of a Patriots QB update. I'm starting to get the feeling like it's either Jimmy Garoppolo or Cam Newton. As time goes on...
You are thinking Jimmy Garoppolo.
So I think it's... there's a thing. I'm less sure of it than I was a couple of months ago. But I just think if it's not going to be Garoppolo, if he doesn't come free from San Francisco, which if you heard John Lynch's comments, who's the 49ers GM, he said that he doesn't really see Garoppolo going anywhere. Obviously, he kind of has to say that. But I think if Jimmy G doesn't shake free, I have a really bad feeling Cam Newton is going to end up being the quarterback here, which I absolutely do not want.
That will just kill my vibes for the whole next year. I mean...
You've been hearing these built-in excuses. Now there's a report coming out that Cam Newton was too bulked up because he got too crazy about his return, so he was lifting too many weights. So that's what...
The guy can't throw the ball. No amount of muscle mass is going to change that.
He's done. If he comes back to play quarterback, Belichick is asking to have another 6, 7, when you're not even competing for the playoffs.
All right, actually, you know what? I will say that if he does come back, I still will maybe think that there's an outside chance of the playoffs, but that's on the contingency that all these guys are going to return from the COVID list, like Chung, Hightower, and who is it? Marcus Cannon, I believe.
Yeah. So I think the bigger. So I think regardless of those three guys coming back is going to help. I think it kind of installs more that Patriot way, that leadership that you're going to need here if things keep going south. But strictly when it comes to on the field, I really think the only guy that's going to make a huge impact is Hightower.
Yeah.
They had nobody on the front seven.
Our linebacking core was very weak, and honestly, they were really young and inexperienced, so I think Hightower coming back would be big for that. I don't know. You're right, the front seven was awful, and I'd love to see them spend some money and pick up some guys, but I don't really know. I think we mentioned a Chandler Jones reunion. That would be awesome.
I would love that.
J.J. Watt.
I don't want J.J. Watt.
Isn't happening. I heard he's the teams on his radar are the Bills, the Packers, and there's one other team. But I don't know. They need help on the front seven bad. I think our secondary is fine, and I would even go as far as to say that we can ship out Gilmore and we would still be fine in secondary.
And I think especially in the with Chung coming back, he really should be your third safety now because you had Duggar.
Who actually lived.
Yeah, so he should be taking a step forward now and should be almost ready to be the number 2 safety.
Yeah.
And I think Gilmore's out. But the thing is, I don't know how high his trade value is just because the contract he's on is he's getting paid so little where he's going to want a new deal. So they should have traded him at the deadline last year when teams were desperate that were in contention for corner and gotten a second-round pick for him. Now I don't even know if you get a second-rounder unless you find a team that is super desperate for a cornerback right now.
I feel like there's always those teams that are borderline contenders that really will just ship out almost anything to solidify something like that. I mean, he still is arguably like a top 3 cornerback in the league. But also with cornerbacks, I mean, every year older they get, like their value does drop because they're so contingent on athleticism.
Yeah, And
So
my issue with now free agency, which I believe starts in about 2-3 weeks, is this guy like Cam Newton is not going to bring in free agents. Wide receivers, tight ends are not going to want to come here to play with this guy.
to play with Cam.
Yeah, and now
absolutely.
we've gotten to the point where I think the Patriots and the quarterback situation are kind of boxed in right now, because I think you're almost kind of waiting for the draft. Because I think you look at a team like Atlanta with Matt Ryan, maybe they draft a quarterback, but now you're waiting all the way to April. Jimmy G, Sam Darnold. There's a lot of teams, and the Texans aren't moving on from Deshaun Watson. There's a lot of teams that are at a standpoint right now where they're not making any moves, and then free agency is going to start in a couple weeks. And how are you going to lure in a wide receiver, a tight end who's playing quarterback for you? They don't. What are you going to tell them?
No.
We don't know. Cam Newton,
And nobody's going to want to come on a 1-year deal to play with Cam Newton because their stock's going to go down because they're going to be playing for Cam Newton. I mean, look at every weapon we had last year. I don't think anybody had good numbers receiving.
no.
Other than the guys, other than the guys who had no expectations.
And like you kind of mentioned that, I guess Mariota's moving up the ladder on the odds
Yeah,
chart.
currently number 1 odds to be Patriots quarterback.
That's another guy that the Raiders are trying to trade, but teams don't want to trade for him because I think he's only due to make like $7-8 million this year, which isn't that much. But he has incentives in his deal where if he becomes a starter for a team and plays, it shoots up to like $20 million.
Oh my god!
So teams don't want to do that, trade for that contract.
So
now
they need them to like get cut and
exactly,
then sign
and they don't. There's no rush for Las Vegas to do that. So there's limited options out there right now. Because I think teams are going to wait for the draft, and that's going to put you in a really weird spot in the offensive side of the ball come free agency.
I was against the whole draft a quarterback and go that route, just because we haven't done it well recently. Stidham was kind of a mistake in my opinion. He doesn't look good, but I'm starting to get to the point where if you see a college quarterback that seems like he's somewhat NFL ready, I would spend one of our first 3 draft picks on a quarterback.
Like in one of the first 3 rounds?
Yeah, if you have a guy that you think is good and seems like he can step in and play way.
Well, regardless, I would like to see them. My ideal plan would be bring in a veteran quarterback.
And draft somebody. And cut Stidham.
Yeah, I'm done. Stidham can go to hell for all I care. How do you feel on this? Is actually a guy that I feel like could shake free because Jacksonville is the number 1 pick. We know they're taking Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Gardner Minshew. How do you feel about him?
I just don't like Gardner Minshew. I think he's going to be one of those journeymen. I don't know. At this point in his career, I feel like he's a poor man's Ryan Fitzpatrick. Speaking of, I wouldn't hate seeing Fitzpatrick on the Pats just because our offense isn't going to be so damn boring.
And then he'll have been on every single team in the AFC East if he comes to the Patriots.
Which would be cool. And he would probably do well working with Belichick. I mean, he's a smart guy. He's a Ivy League grad. So that's
like worst case scenario for me if it comes down to having somebody like Cam Newton and your guy.
If our quarterback, all right, relax with the Trubisky.
Yep.
Honestly, Mariota, I don't really like him that much, and I don't think he's that great. But I think we would both agree that he would be a very large step up from Cam Newton.
You would hope, and I think he can somewhat at least throw the ball.
He can throw it better than Cam, and he is mobile, probably more mobile than Cam Newton at this point in his career. So,
and if you're the owner, if you're Robert Kraft, at what point, if like Bill's actually seriously considering bringing Cam back, at what point do you step in and be like, this is bad for business? If you think your ratings are going to go down, you're going to lose revenue because people are not going to watch. I mean, so here's the thing. I'm going to tune in and watch, but I'm going to hate watching the hell out of that. You deserve to lose every game if you bring this guy back.
Oh, it's just very boring brand of football, and it's not necessarily a recipe for winning the way this guy plays anymore. And honestly, if we do bring him back, I don't even want to see them bring any weapons in on the offensive side of the ball or waste any assets to upgrade the offense. Because what good is it if he's the quarterback?
Exactly. You're restricting these guys' talents and skills, and you have a quarterback that can't. None of them are going to want to come here anyways if he's the quarterback.
How is Doughboy going to excel if Cam Newton comes back?
And the clock's ticking on Doughboy too. This is going to be his 3rd year, so he's going to have to step up.
It really is ticking on him, but it's a shame what he's had to deal with. Obviously, his rookie year he was with Brady, but he must have been like the 4th wide receiver on that depth chart, probably.
My issues with him is there's just so many other receivers the Patriots could have, like DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, that I would take away.
In that regard, it's a bad draft pick. I'm not still ready. I'm not going to give up on him just yet. This is his witching hour, his deciding year. But
if it's your 3rd year, you have to take a step up.
I need to see at least like 800 yards and 5-6 touchdowns.
another Patriots receiver. Do you see Edelman? A report came out that he's not sure if he's going to play this upcoming season. I think he's done. I just think these little slot receivers have an expiration date. He's going to be 35 in May. This dude is taking a beating the last 3 years.
It's crazy, but I think he is going to play. Just the way he's so active on social media, I think he's going to have one more season. And whether it's...
I don't think if he does play, though, it's going to be at an elite level. I think the guy was toast this past season because he was banged up. Sure.
He can still do what he does, though. Yes, it's not going to be at an elite level, but he'll still take hits. I mean... He might get banged up taking hits, but I mean, he's still going to catch the ball on the slide and get some yards after the catch. I don't think he needs to be an elite athlete. I feel like he's still going to have his shiftiness.
At the very best, though, he's an injury away from his career being done. Like, he can't keep.
It's not necessarily where like Wes Welker was at the end of his tenure with the NFL.
Yeah, because he was dealing with a bunch of concussions, and I don't think
stuff.
I'm sure Edelman has had his fair share of concussions. But remember when Welker had to wear the huge helmet towards the end of his career,
dude,
the little 5'7" dude?
Yeah,
because he was these receivers you're running over the middle, and you got 250-pound men cracking you.
No, it's crazy. And some of these guys are listed at 200, but in my opinion, they look like they're every bit of 185. So that's like me or you going across the middle and taking a hit from a linebacker. We would probably be dead. But so you think if Edelman does come back, do you think it's even with the Patriots, or do you think he would ask to be cut or play the retirement card, get cut, and then go sign with Tampa Bay?
That's what I heard somebody bring up on the radio yesterday. This could all be a plan to try and get out of New England to go down to Tampa Bay.
What's his contract look like?
I'll look it up right now if you want. I really don't know.
I mean, honestly, if he wants to go to Tampa Bay so bad, let's get something back for him. I bet they would give a little something up. Also, because they're probably going to... I think they're losing Godwin this year. Although, I thought that, and then I saw a quote from him. I don't know if you saw the quote.
He said he wanted to come back, something
and
like that.
And he said, I'll take less money. So did Evans.
Right now, Edelman is on a 2-year deal. He is an unrestricted free agent next offseason.
Dude, how much money?
So he has 1 year left on his deal. This year, he has a average salary... Oh, my God. Football money just always trips me out because there's the cap hit.
Yeah.
I think he's supposed to make $12 million, something like that this year.
That's a bit much for trade.
I don't know what, and the cap hit is 9, something like that. Football money is...
The only way I could see Tampa Bay making a trade for him is if one of their wide receivers leaves.
The thing is, if it really came down to it with Godwin, they could always just tag him and keep him for another year if they wanted to, too. Which I still think the tag is just the most corrupt thing.
And that's the only sport that does something like that, right?
You're restricting a guy from going out and making money.
That does make these owners seem like we own you guys. You're not allowed to go anywhere. Can't you do it unlimited years in a row, or is there a cap on that?
There might be a cap after 3 years, but if you keep tagging a guy, it keeps going up and up. And I think they set... The league sets the tag amount, the money amount for each position.
Yeah, I remember who...
Tooney got $16 million.
Yeah, so it's really not... In Dak, I think, got something 25 or 30 million.
Yeah, it might have been 30, something like that.
So, you're still getting set up for 1 year, but obviously in the NFL, you got to worry about the injuries.
Yeah, the long game, because you don't...
You never know. Every game could be your last.
Are you starting to buy into these Russell Wilson trade rumors? Because
they are, and you're hearing reports that he's getting worked up in meetings or that he's storming out of meetings because they weren't. I don't know, including he wasn't feeling inclusive enough.
Apparently, he recently talked to Pete Carroll, and he wanted to know what the plan was with the offensive line. They really wouldn't let him in the loop, and that's why you heard these reports come out, and it was him that leaked them out. And he said that the team, he wants to be a Seahawk, but if he has a no trade clause.
I saw it, the little list of teams.
It was
he would
Vegas,
go to.
Chicago, Dallas, maybe New Orleans and the Jets. Maybe New Orleans wasn't on there.
I didn't see it. Was the Jets there? I didn't see it.
Maybe that was a
AFC
different
team.
report, but I think what's his wife's name? Sierra.
Sierra, yeah.
I don't think they would. I think they would actually probably like going to New York.
They would go to New York because of
exactly because of the media and everything.
Wouldn't.
No, would.
Yeah.
I'm not buying into him just yet, but I wonder if this is the way the league is transitioning, where a lot of these quarterbacks are going to try to get there, and it's going to turn into the NBA, which I don't love, but it makes for a very exciting offseason.
That's probably what the players want, low key, is to have some power. I think there should be a healthy balance between the players having basically no input in the NFL and what they have in the NBA. I think they have way too much in the NBA. Something in the middle would be nice. No surprise. Russell Wilson's trade destinations don't include the Patriots.
Yeah, no, of course.
Maybe what they say really is true. No quarterback wants to come and play in New England.
Think, even if... I'm not even saying that they had to go win a championship last year. If they could have just been decent.
Who, the Seahawks or the Pats?
The Patriots, and won 9-10 games.
Oh, so quarterbacks they're like, we have a chance here. You could at least say,
Belichick could at least have that argument and be like, hey, Brady left and we still won 10 games. Like, we can still win. Right. But when you win 7 games and 2 of them are against the Jets, and you really don't look good the entire season, it doesn't help when you're trying to recruit guys coming in. And sticking with Russell Wilson, what do you think would have to be offered for the Seattle to actually consider it? Like, I have a trade scenario for you. So say the Jets.
Wait, before you do that, so Stafford went for Goff and what?
Was it 2 firsts and a third?
Yeah, so keep that in mind. So what's your scenario?
The Jets offer the number 2 pick.
Yep.
Plus 3 first rounders.
And no
like
player.
A third.
And not like Darnold or anything?
Well,
regardless, just the pick. So the number 2 pick, 3 first rounders, some of them future.
Yeah,
obviously all of them
it could be like in the next year. So you're getting 4 first rounders, one of them's the number 2, and a third rounder.
I bet you'd consider that. And other than Wilson, I feel like a lot of the Seahawks core is kind of young. So if you're doing a rebuilding move, that would be all right. I don't know. I don't think he's going anywhere, though.
I don't either. Like, why? He's, 30, 31?
Yeah. It wouldn't make sense for really either party, because regardless of how much we shit on them for not doing anything since those Super Bowl runs, they still have success pretty much every year. Success is a relative term, but like they're pumping out double-digit wins every year, and every season we peg them as a contender.
They got to put a better offensive line around him.
Better offensive line, and the defense needs to kind of get back to what it used to be, because defense is trash.
It got better as the year went, but because that's not saying much. They were the worst secondary in the league the first half of the season.
Most yards in the league, exactly.
Do you think Deshaun Watson's going to play another snap with Houston? They're playing a game of like chicken right now.
No, it seems that I think that relationship is irreparable. I can't even speak.
No, I know
you know the word, and I think if it comes to it, Watson will just sit out.
I do too,
and he won't care about the money because he's going to get paid. Or he already has a contract, doesn't he?
Yeah, but they can't pay him. They won't pay him.
Right.
I wonder.
Which doesn't matter. The guy's already made enough money, and he's going to make a lot of money in his career. I feel like the back and forth is just further making him upset.
Yeah,
and like you see more stuff coming out, like, and he's making tweets. I'm going to pull up his Twitter, but.
Yes, I think it's playing out where it's going to get to that point where he's sitting out to start the season. Yeah. And it's going to come down to if he sticks to his guns and he's willing to lose some money, he'll get traded.
Yep.
And it's going to be a big one of them, at the end of the day, one of them is bluffing.
Yeah.
And somebody's going to fold eventually. It's just going to be how long is it going to take. And did you also hear that the Texans aren't even picking up calls for him? That teams are leaving voicemails and they won't get calls back.
Ridiculous.
That organization... Say what you want about Bill O'Brien. Guy was kind of an idiot. At least he won a few divisions. This team has now turned into a complete joke.
Yeah, so the latest tweet that I was talking about, he tweets, "Loyalty is everything. Don't you, all caps, ever forget it."
Yep, saw that, yeah.
And that's not the first of some tweets that I've seen from him. So I think he is, and it's gaining so much publicity. So he's going to be like, if I do give in, I'm just going to look like a fraud, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's not playing another snap with them.
So let's transition to some miscellaneous topics before Nick gets here. Obviously, the Tiger Woods news, horrible.
Ugh.
When I saw that breaking news, what was it, Tuesday, Wednesday, my heart sunk because you see took the jaws of life to get him out, and you're thinking, shit, like, I mean, is his life in jeopardy?
This?
And then when I heard that he was immediately in the surgery and that his legs, I'm thinking, like, are his legs in danger?
Amputated, yeah.
Immediately my head went to Alex Smith.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, you think Gordon Hayward, his leg wasn't in jeopardy, and he immediately got surgery.
These are different, though, because, it's like, they called them crush injuries. So, like, what exactly does that entail? Like, they said they were under the knee, like the tibia-fibia area. They said, I mean, I'm assuming if it's a crush injury, that just means the bone is shattered.
Yeah.
And not only that, he also shattered his ankle. Then you got to take into account there's probably, like, nerve and ligament damage.
He's probably going to have to learn how to walk again. And I see people on, like, Twitter replies being like, oh, Tiger's going to come back 2022 Masters champion.
Oh
He's not playing golf in 2022. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's a year from now.
He's not going to. If he comes back and plays golf again,
it'll be 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and who knows if he'll even come back? Like the dude,
he has nothing left to prove.
No, he doesn't. Except I know he really wants to. I watched that Tiger. He really wants to get the jack, but he still needs 3. That's a lot to ask a guy that's 45, 46.
I mean, even if this didn't just happen, it's looking very unlikely that he was going to do that. Now,
think about how
you push the clock back. People at 47, 48 aren't winning 3 majors.
And I know he's way better than Phil, but look at the cliff Phil is falling off now.
Yeah. I mean, he plays on the senior tour every now and then.
And Tiger already had his back. Is done.
It's shot. I mean, he's getting surgeries and procedures on his back every other year.
So you expect this guy to come back? Like, he should just be more concerned about his health and being there for his family.
And I'm sure that's what he and the people around him are most concerned about. It's just these. You saw what McIlroy and Mickelson said. They're like, you guys need to pipe down a little bit. I think the big thing is that his kids didn't lose their father.
Yeah, and how do you expect a guy that has a torched back and now 2 horrible legs to be able to go play golf?
I mean, other than like your hip region, there's nothing.
Nick is here. Should I text him to just come in, come down, or you want to run up and grab him?
Yeah, I'll
just talk.
Yeah, you just.
Yeah, I'll just.
Sounds like he's inside, right?
Yeah, so obviously, devastating Tiger news. Hopefully a full recovery.
Yeah, that's sad.
What's up, Nick? How you doing, bro?
What's up?
Take a seat.
Is this the first, other than Peter,
to be in studio?
First guest host here?
Yep.
Oh, man, happy to be here, boys.
Yeah.
Excited to be live on the air. Long-time listener.
Yes, sir. Well, we got a little while till trivia, so...
Yeah, I mean, we can hop right into... want to do Celtics now? We talked a little Tiger Woods, talked a little Patriots.
Yeah, let's get into those recent games, I guess.
So, I want to say since last we've talked, they are 2-3, 2-4, something like that. Once again, right when we're about to record, they have to win the night before. But this time, they're not killing my negative momentum. What happened last night, I'm sorry. Before I get negative, I'll give 2 positives. Robert Williams was a positive. Good game from him last night. And it was nice to see that they fought back from being down 18-4 to start the game.
Kemba played all right, too, didn't he?
True, but I certainly don't buy into that. Because even if, so say he comes back, or like Kemba starts playing well. We saw what he looked like last year in the playoffs. He's a liability on defense, and he's short. It's not going to work out with him.
Yeah, it's just like so hard to think that it's gotten to this point because, I mean, the Kemba that we grew up knowing was like that crazy UConn Kemba, and then like the dude did kill it in Charlotte, regardless if they're a shitty team. I mean, he dropped 60 points in a game once. He was like a multi-time All-Star. Part of me feels like, that's still in him somewhere, but I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I feel like with Kemba, a lot of the games, he's been in, I feel like it's the games where we don't need him too much is when he kind of steps up. I mean, last night I think was a pretty encouraging win for us, I will say. Like you, RJ, I had the negative momentum coming in. I had some spicy takes ready to let loose on the air. I was pretty excited about that, but I will say it was particularly encouraging to see in a game where Brown and Tatum struggled to see Kemba step up big.
Tatum was terrible last night. Yeah, he was
awful. Brown, I think, only finished with around 15 points or something like that, too. So, if we're going to get a win against a decent team, I think you'd want to see it like that, where it's the other guy stepping up, because that's really been the whole issue all year. So, I'm not really ready to write him off yet, but it's just...
I'm not writing him off either. And you know what's crazy before you get to what you're going to say? The Pacers going into last night were the 4th seed at 15-15.
The division conference is trash.
2 games ahead of the Celtics. So I think a win in 16 and 17 probably jumps us up to like the 6 or 7.
We were 9 going in, and we were tied with like the Knicks and the Bulls at 15 and 17. Something like that.
I got a few takeaways from last night though, and I'm gonna agree with Nick. I'm not, me, I'm not writing them off just yet. But one, I want to highlight a lot of their struggles. And connect those to Marcus Smart's absence. I mean, we all know what Marcus Smart is. He's not some offensive savior, but I think just what he brings to the defensive side of the ball, and I think his presence on the court just raises everyone's confidence a little bit. But aside from that, the takeaways from last night's game, one, I think Robert Williams needs to be inserted into the starting lineup. I was looking at the stats. He's played like so many less minutes than Daniel Tyson. He averages more, or has more total blocks, steals, and rebounds. Second, your boy Jeff Teague, I think he might have been motivated by all these DMPs his last 2 games. He's got 14 points in each of the last two, and he had 14, 5, and 5 in last night's game.
You're gonna buy stock into that though?
Nah, not hey. If he strings a couple more together, I might have to though.
No, my thing is with Robert Williams is you should be trying to work in bigger lineups as much as possible because I think Grant Williams last night was a DNP.
Yeah,
keep it that way. I don't need to see Grant Williams out there.
Hey, if Robert's gonna get all his minutes,
they've been running those bigger lineups though because they're starting with Thompson and Tice.
Yeah,
so
I don't even like that anymore.
I would keep that going, but back to your Marcus Smart injury excuse. I consider that a lazy fanboy take. They are what was their record, Jess? You know what their record was before he left? 9-8. Counting the Lakers game. I'm counting the Lakers game.
And one thing I would like to say in defense of Jess and Marcus Smart here, I would say that those games without Marcus, so a lot of those games were also without Tatum though. So I would say, our record with Smart wasn't a whole lot better than what it is now, but that was also when we didn't have Tatum, so I think it kind of cancels out a little bit.
That's a great point.
That is a good point, but so Tatum missed 5 games, but my thing is, if it's this bad, you lose one guy, he's your third best player on your team, and let's be honest, in my opinion, there's a big drop-off from Tatum, Brown, then Smart.
Sure, absolutely.
He's a glorified role player. That's what he is. And if your team, Tatum and Brown wanted this, they wanted to be leaders, and they're not ready. To be this bad where you lose to Dallas and you come back the next night and you get blown out by the Atlanta Hawks. You cannot play down to your opponent. And I don't know.
It does highlight a roster issue when Marcus Smart, who is, at the end of the day, he is a role player, but it doesn't take away from his significance and importance to the team, in my opinion. Yes, there's a talent drop-off from them too to Smart, obviously, but in my opinion, an importance to the team drop-off, not so much. I lost track of what I was going to say.
I think I could hop in and say, too, I think it makes sense that a lot of our defensive struggles, that's one thing that hasn't been talked about as much. I've seen with people talking about how bad the Celtics have been lately. Is their struggles on offense and how Tatum and Brown are really carrying the whole load. But I think it makes sense to attribute some of that defensive struggles to Marcus's absence. But if our offense does look this bad without Smart, he's not going to come in and fix the offense in the way that we're hoping. I think that'll fix the defense, and I think that'll result in a lot of wins. But if he has to be the third shot creator, is scary, and that's where we really need Kemba to step up.
And you hope he doesn't come in here and think since they've been struggling without him that he's going to shoot 15 times a game.
He doesn't think like that.
You want to make a bet? We'll see when he comes back in a few weeks how many times he shoots the ball.
I think Marcus Smart should be shooting at least 10 to 12 times a game.
I agree.
No more than that, unless he's really hot, but this guy would like to see Marcus Smart shoot the ball 4 times, no threes.
That's even too much for me. He can shoot the ball 2 or 3 times and just get back and play great defense.
You think he's such a bad shooter? I feel like if
he's better than he was. I completely agree with that.
3-point shooting percentage is probably creeping up towards the mid to high 30s.
What makes me more mad is when he takes shots at the end of a game, though, like we've been over before.
Okay, I agree. He should never be, by design, taking shots at the end of the game, but I just feel like if there's an open shot, anybody has to be ready to take it. It can't always be your best 2 players. Yes, there was a
game that we talked about where the pass to Brown or Tatum was right there, and he decided to bring the ball to the hoop or something and looked for the foul and flopped.
It was a strong take, but hey, that's also on them. They got to demand the ball.
And back to last night's win, though. When I said it's fool's gold, how many times are we going to do this? Where when they beat the Clippers, and you and Andy wanted to say it's a great win. Yeah. You have to string wins together now against Denver.
I don't think they've won back to back in a month and a half.
It's been a ridiculously
long
time.
I saw something about it.
You better fucking beat Washington.
Beginning of January.
Better beat Washington on Sunday.
It's 6-1 in their last 7.
God. They are on a back-to-back. They're playing today, so I don't know, but the Celtics cannot play on Sunday games. My main point with Marcus Smart is, yes, I obviously believe. What are they right now? 16 and 17. They would have
they're 6-9 without him.
They would have a few more wins if he was there, but I just think the issues with this team right now go way beyond that. You don't really have much of a bench. Hopefully, maybe now you have an extra guy if you can somehow work Robert Williams into the lineup. And I still think you're going to have an issue on offense if Kemba continues to struggle. Yes, he was fine last night, and I just think the fact that he goes down and your team just looks so ballless and dude, the way that they came out and played Atlanta. It's just gross. It's gross basketball. To blow the lead you did against New Orleans? What the fuck are we doing?
Yeah, they just come out flat, and I do also credit a lot to it. Their 2 leaders are 23 and 22 years old.
Yep.
So it's they are inexperienced, but at the same time they are veterans because they've been in the league for a while. But so here, if Marcus Smart has not been injured, would you say it's fair to say, maybe 4 more wins than they have right now?
I'll go 2 or 3.
Okay, so say it's 4 though. They would be 20-13. That would be best third in the conference.
They'd
right
be
now.
20-13 if they
Yeah,
had
because
3
they're
more wins.
16-17 right now. If they had 4 more wins.
Yeah, I will say in the East, I mean, it's like while we're 3 games outside of the of the playoffs, looking in, but we're also like a couple games behind only Brooklyn, Philly, and Milwaukee. Maybe I don't even know what that separation.
I think
is.
Philly
So
and
close.
Brooklyn are starting to separate themselves by record, and maybe Milwaukee too. But from 4 to like 10, these games are important though. So
2 games,
if Smart is out until end of March, and they keep playing like this, you're gonna have to drop Brooklyn in the first round or something like that. That cannot happen.
I don't see the Celtics long term dropping below the 6th seed, but I was listening to WEI the other day, and before last night's game, the Celtics were 3.5 games out of the 3rd seed and 3.5 games out of the 3rd worst record in the league, picking 3rd in the draft. So it's a weird season. I do think that they're going to get some sort of run going. There's no way they fall below long term the 5 seed. They're not going to be playing Brooklyn or
Dude,
Philly
here's the
in
thing
the first
though.
round.
Miami and Toronto are playing good basketball right now. If they keep playing this well, and you keep playing the basketball you're playing for even 2-3 weeks past the All-Star break, you're going to be playing one of them in the first round. You're going to be the 6 or 7 seed, which I don't care that Marcus Smart is hurt. That is unacceptable. I'll admit that they miss Marcus Smart to a degree, but you also have to admit that their performances have been unacceptable.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, it's a glaring roster issue when you know that you're missing Marcus Smart this bad. But, I guess the goal would be to 5 seed or better, because if you fall to the 6 seed, you're either seeing Milwaukee, Philly, or Brooklyn in the
Agreed,
first
and
round.
I think Indiana is going to be interesting if they get healthy. It doesn't seem like
true. They are missing 2 of their best wing players,
TJ Warren
and LeVert, and there's I think one other person.
Is there any chance he's even coming back though?
LeVert, they haven't been super clear on. They said he was actually on the bench yesterday. I think he's getting closer to returning to basketball activities. But I've been kind of keeping tabs on it, and I haven't seen any concrete thing as well. And I know Warren's injury happened like the first or second week of the season, and that was a foot injury.
His thing is looking March, April probably.
Yeah. But that lineup for Indiana is scary. I mean, they have
when they get them back,
Brogdon, LeVert, Warren, Sabonis, and Turner with a couple solid pieces, and Holiday and McConnell off the bench. I mean, there's someone I actually
Jeremy
think
Lamb
have gotten a lot more legit. I agree. So
if only Miles Turner was on the Boston Celtics, but Danny Ainge had to get greedy.
One thing I will say too, if I could just quickly circle back to the point that you said about Robert Williams, this is something that RJ and I talked about off air for a little bit. I absolutely agree with you, Jesse, that to the eye test, he's been incredible lately. I don't necessarily hate Grant Williams, but I have enjoyed watching the Celtics a bit more.
I don't hate Grant Williams
falling out of the rotation a bit more. But one thing that is a reason why Williams isn't playing that a lot of Celtics fans haven't mentioned is his hip injury. It's been lingering for a bit, so he is still on somewhat of a restriction with that. So I think that's part of the reason why Brad has kind of pulled back the reins on him. And because I'm sorry, I've always said that the past couple of years, I've really enjoyed the games where Williams finds his way into the rotation. It always seems like Brad has some master plan. We saw Cantor in certain games, Grant in certain games, but every time Williams is in there, he shines. But it is a big reason as to why he's only playing 15 minutes a night is because of that hip injury.
And maybe they have a long-term plan with him. They want him to be as available in the playoffs as he can be, or maybe they're even looking longer picture than that. This could be our center going forward.
I agree.
I think the kid really can be that. He has elite athleticism. I don't remember which game it was. I think it was the Pelicans game. He was guarding somebody, I think Ingram, a 6'10" wing on the outside, and he blocked a 3-pointer just from a defensive stance, and Doris Burke was gaslighting the shit out, or not gaslighting, lighting him up did you see that elite athleticism?
I hate her so much.
That was a tough call in that game, but he also was physically the only one in our team that even stood close to being able to handle Zion, who's obviously is an anomaly in the league. No one can handle him, but blocked his shot a few times, and his per 36 is just ridiculous. Yeah. He's literally averaging, I believe it's 20-something points, 14 rebounds,
and 5 blocks.
Yeah,
so this guy also probably is one of our plus-minus leaders too, if you looked at it.
Absolutely.
I think the majority of all these struggles, though, fall on Ainge, and he is actually somewhat accountable of that on the radio a couple of days ago. But you're talking about Robert Williams, if he can play this way and he's taking this next jump, and I think Tristan Thompson has actually played good the last couple of weeks. Yes. But maybe you could have used that mid-level exception somewhere else and brought in a fucking wing player, so you didn't have to have Grant Williams or Javonte Green play. And because it seems like Robert Williams, I don't want to say he could already be better than Tristan Thompson. I don't know. I do think watching him sometimes on defense, he needs to be like
smart, maybe just like positionally aware.
Yeah, and like sometimes they really always get him on the pump fake, which it's fine. He's a younger player. Yeah. But I just think that he didn't. Danny Ainge, the fact that he thought that this roster was going to be acceptable going into the season, especially he knew Kemba Walker's knee was bad. He was trying to trade him.
And he did not know that Pritchard was going to be able to be a viable role player. So that just that like shows that he was really unprepared even more.
No, I just think that he put the team in a bad spot. And my issue with like sometimes Brown and Tatum is they're out there playing hero ball, but at the same time, I can't even completely kill them for that because they look around. There's a bunch of bums on the court.
Like you got like Grant Williams, Semi Ojeleye, and Jeff Teague with them too. Sometimes
I do think Tatum is. I want to say the issue with Tatum a couple years ago was he kind of had a little too much Kobe in him, or he wasn't working the ball enough. He's almost. I don't know. It's probably Danny Ainge's fault that he's almost going back to that now because there's nobody to pass the ball to. And it's when you watch a game, it just seems like it's Brown and Tatum passing the ball back and forth because they know nobody else can do anything. It's a lot of
isolation. Like it's not really long-term successful basketball. Like they have no like San Antonio Spurs in them or Utah Jazz where they're just passing like a great team. It almost just feels like it's get the ball to one of them, let them do their thing, and get ready for the ball if it's coming.
But it's like if Kemba is as bad as he was last postseason, he has been, excluding last night and a couple other games, what are you going to do come postseason time if Brown and Tatum have a bad game?
Oh, you're going to get
think about last night. Tatum was horrible. If Kemba doesn't have the game he has, they lose that game.
Absolutely.
100%.
So to that point, if I could ask you guys, what do you think the biggest need for this team is? Like, who do you want Danny to try and target at the deadline, whether it's using that exception or not? Now, and this is a question that I've put a lot of thought into, and I think it's really tricky because you see the flashes with Kemba, you see the flashes with Rob Williams.
Yeah.
So some of the names that I've heard thrown around, I think you might have mentioned it in previous episodes, but like Thad Young was mentioned, Harrison Barnes. I heard talks like our biggest target that we might even look to get is someone like Vucevic from Orlando,
which would be incredible,
which would be a big piece. So just wanted to throw that out there. Who
couple
do you guys
names
think
that I have that are none of those ones. Kind of more like under the radar pickups. I think a guy like DJ Augustine. I really like DJ Augustine, and he would bring.
He play for Orlando?
He plays for Milwaukee right now. He doesn't even crack the rotation, so like. I feel like that would be a really easy pickup. Slide Jeff Teague down the rotation.
Or
but,
just cut him.
Someone that we could use the trade exception on, though, that I would really love to help us with scoring off the bench would be Terrence Ross from Orlando. Because I think he's on like a 4-year, $50 million contract. I think we need a guard off the bench and another wing. Yeah. And a big man would be nice. But
that's actually gone further on my list now that Robert Williams has played well. First, I want a viable wing like someone like Harrison Barnes that can play on the wing, and we don't have to see Semi Ojeleye, Grant Williams, Javonte Green out there.
Yeah.
But it's very important these next 3 games going into the All-Star break and then coming out of it that they play well, because if they keep playing this, why would Danny Ainge make a trade if the team's not? If it showed them that they're nowhere close to being a contender in the East, he's not going to make a deal.
Yeah.
So it's important for them to show them, like, go make a deal, go help us, go get us an extra piece because we want to make a run.
Yeah.
And I think that's why these next few weeks are going to be very important. And I know they've got the Clippers and the Raptors coming up after tomorrow, and then they have like the week off in the All-Star break. But you brought up the the trade exception thing.
Yeah, correct.
Apparently, they still have to deal with a hard cap, and Wick, the owner, was on Felger and Mass, and he said that they're still kind of dealing with a hard cap, so it'd be more ideal for them to use the trade exception in the off season, because that way then they get more of it, or they're not going over the. I just think there's some weird like rule with it or something where they ideally would like to use it come off season. So I think that would be a reason if you don't see a move happen. But they haven't made a move since IT at the deadline. I just have a bad feeling that come March 25th or whatever the day is, I'm going to be sitting here enraged that they didn't fucking do anything.
Yeah,
once again.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I wasn't having nothing to say.
Truthfully, I don't think a deal's going to get done. I mean, just that's what we've seen from Danny. And like you said, I think in general, just using the trade exception in the offseason just provides more flexibility, and we'll have a better understanding of what this roster needs. But like you said, I think the fear is that we have slid down the standings a bit, that we're not as close as maybe we thought at the beginning of the season, and that just gives Danny more of a reason to wait and hoard those picks or whatever else like he likes to do. But one thing that I think is frustrating, because I agree with both of you. I think we all said like wing was kind of at the top of the list for us. And one thing that's super frustrating for me anyways is just that we haven't mentioned it a bit on the pod was the loss of Hayward is really starting to show. And it's not even that we really miss Hayward because he obviously didn't live up to that contract, but just the replacement level on this team is so much lower than him. Even though he was only like a 12, like 5-5 guy, like we're that drop off from him to Semi and Javonte.
He didn't want to be here.
It's so bad, and I mean I was thrilled to see him go. I thought that tenure was awful. It's not necessarily his fault. He was dealt a really crappy hand with his injuries, but oh my gosh, it's like, and you see what he's doing for Charlotte. It's exactly what this team needs. So for someone like myself who really hated the entirety of Hayward's career in Boston, it definitely stings a bit. And I looked at the standings last night as well, and I know Charlotte had passed us for a split second. I don't know if we got back, but that was a slap in the face for me anyways.
Wick said in the interview that they offered him a big deal, too, and he just didn't want to be here because I don't think he liked the role. I don't think he was getting the ball enough. And I do think the reason that we've seen Brown have this big step up is because Hayward's gone, because he's getting the ball, he's getting more shots.
Agreed.
And like I think I've said before in the podcast, I wanted Hayward to leave because I thought that we were going to get that money back, which we didn't. Because I don't get how any of these sports, how the fucking cap works.
Yeah, it is.
But now, like we kind of would need him right now, a guy that actually can work the ball around, that can be a facilitator too.
Yeah, and I feel like he would just fit every glaring need this team has right now.
Exactly. With
scoring off the bench, facilitation, like that soothing, calm presence with the ball. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think that the big man thing of getting Vucevic, like we said, that would probably be like the biggest target that we might have a shot at getting. And again, this is just kind of what I've heard from some other reportings and some reputable sources. But
what do you think you'd have to give up for someone like that, though? I feel he's a great player.
He is. He's a 20-10 guy.
So why can we just fucking, if the trade player exception thing can work, throw I don't care about these fucking draft picks anymore.
Yeah.
Like, throw like 3 future 4 or 5. I really don't care.
Get rid of the assets. We know they're not really assets, but that's what they'll be classified as, like the Romeo Langfords of our teams. Throw 2 or 3 of them together and three picks and go make a fucking ballsy move.
At what point do we just stop? Like, the time is now. What was the Garnett and Pierce trade, like 2013? It's been 8 years.
Do you think any of this has to do with fucking GMs don't trust making deals with Danny Ainge? Because he has this reputation as
especially now that he's trying to deal our injured Kemba Walker.
Yeah,
just like he dealt a fucking hurt IT.
Yeah, he's got this history, and he swindled the Nets.
I think you're going to see...
Are we blacklisted?
I think you're going to see more pressure on this team as this year goes on. And the next... Because I think... I always shit all over the fanboys. For the most part, there's been a lot of them that have been upset what's gone down the last month or so. And I've heard it calling into these radio shows, and it hasn't been like it's been before, and the team has struggled. And I think the reason that sometimes like the players don't have a lot of pressure on them, the coach doesn't, the GM doesn't, is because the owner's not hearing it from the fan base. When the owner starts hearing it from the fans, from the region, that there's urgency to win, it's going to feed down the chain to the GM, to the coach, and these guys are going to have pressure on them to win. And just sometimes I get frustrated with Brad Stevens just because you just want to you want to yell at these guys, like when you're playing at like Atlanta, like when you fall down, like, wake up, what are you doing? You're way better than they are. Like, what is going on? And that's another thing, you didn't have Kemba Walker because he still can't play on back-to-backs, which at what point is that going to stop? I'm starting to feel like it's going to be an all-year thing. Yeah. And if you're managing this guy's knee the entire year, it shows that his knee is still some relatively of an issue.
Yeah, the frustrations with Brad have definitely... He's the type of guy where his calm demeanor really suits well when he's winning. It just seems like, he's so even-keeled and calculated and whatever. And then the second it starts going south, especially on like a tailspin like we've been in the past month, it's like that calm demeanor is just so frustrating to watch. Like, I'll throw this in. My mom watches the games, and I think I've mentioned this to you before, how... passionate she is about it, but she has been calling for Brad Stevens' head, and I think it's just, as someone who didn't play the game a lot, like, she just sees like that passion, and she takes that that calm demeanor for someone that's not as interested in the team's success. And I think that definitely wears on everybody, even people like ourselves who really watch the game a lot and have played it, and it wears on us, and it's really frustrating to see.
It's frustrating because you want to see somebody get held accountable.
Absolutely.
And so say they continue to struggle in the next few weeks, there's really no move to be made to shake things up, to wake these guys up. Because I don't think they're going to fire the coach. The GM's obviously not going anywhere. You're not trading Tatum or Brown, and they're not going to trade Marcus Smart. And even if they did, does that really shake things up? Because he hasn't been playing the last couple months. Yep. It's not like he's been their guy that they've been struggling with, and they trade him like, oh, shit. Like, there's really no moves to be made to shake things up because the other guys on the team are a bunch of bums.
Yeah.
So it's not, I'm saying there's not that move to, like, wake Tatum and Brown up and be like, oh, shit. Like, they're fucking taking jobs now.
Yep.
So I think that's where I get frustrated is just, I want to see somebody get held accountable, and when Wick and Danny Ainge come on the radio and they give excuse after excuse, like, oh, our young guys are all-stars. Like, I don't want to hear that, and I get that they're not going to come on and throw guys under the bus, but as a fan, it's just, relax. I don't need to hear about how young they are. I know that. I've only heard that a million fucking times on Twitter. You guys got anything else on the Celtics? That's pretty much it for me.
Don't give up on them just yet. I think in the long-term picture, we're going to be all right. And
feeding off that, give up on them. They're done in the first round. Marcus Smart coming back, yes, will help this team, but it will not change their destination. Rest my case, and we'll revisit this months from now.
Yeah. Final thoughts for me are just, I'd like to see a wing if it's an affordable thing. I think just circling back to Vucevic, I don't think we'd have to give up too much just because Orlando and those other teams aren't really in a spot where they're actively contending. It doesn't really make sense because having those talented guys like that only puts them in a spot where it hurts their draft stock and they're not actually, contending for anything. So if we could give up like a couple picks for like a wing piece, like a Barnes or a Young, I'd like to see it. But at the end of the day,
even just a real NBA player that can play off the wing, that can go and give you 20, 25 minutes a night and not hurt the team, that you don't I don't want to see Grant Williams fat ass out there.
Absolutely, and I think the big men rotation is getting better with Williams being able to play those minutes. And even if you get a Vucevic, it's like defensively when you play like Philadelphia, who I'm actually worried about this year. He's a pretty big liability on defense, or at least he's not any much of an upgrade over Tice or Williams. So for me, I think it's just you make a move for a wing if you can, if it's out there, if the price is right, and if not, maybe you do use that exception and wait for the offseason. But that better get used.
Yeah, hopefully. 2 quick takeaways I have from around the league is, one, the Lakers really need Anthony Davis, obviously, and I think it's looking like Brooklyn's going to be the team to beat right now.
Brooklyn just looks so good with no Durant this whole time. I mean, Harden is just embracing that point guard role. It's like he doesn't care about his stats.
I don't like him,
points.
but good for him. Good for him.
No, they're in a good place right now, and I'm sure they're going to pull off some sort of move at the deadline too.
Absolutely, I think when Brooklyn gets that buyout piece, that big man or something that they're missing, because really the only weakness is I think DeAndre on the inside. I think
he's old.
He's really over the hump, and I just think that getting a guy like, I don't know if Drummond's the answer. I know the analytics community absolutely hates that guy. He builds up a box score. He's still a great athlete, and you got to think a guy like that's going to have the intelligence to just do whatever he's told on a team with that much talent.
God, I feel like Drummond.
I feel like
it might happen.
If there's ever a team that someone would sacrifice and join for the littlest amount of money possible, it would be the Nets. Like, they have these 300% absolute stud.
They're going to get all the ring chasers that want to get a ring.
They are. So
I think a move like that is coming for Brooklyn, and I absolutely agree, RJ. Once they hit their stride, and I definitely had pretty high expectations for that team. I thought it was going to work out, but it's even exceeded my expectations with what they've been able to do and turn it around at least a little bit defensively, because that first month of that was
before we get off the NBA. Utah Jazz, pretenders or contenders?
I think they're could win. Pretenders.
Pretenders?
Yeah. I don't trust them.
I'm going to say pretenders, but I really wouldn't be shocked. And I think pretenders, I couldn't actually see them winning the championship. I think I kind of defined that the same way you've explained it past, RJ. But I wouldn't be shocked if they made it to the West Finals or something like that over the Clippers or something. Obviously, the team to beat in the West is still the Lakers, regardless of if Davis is healthy or not. But I do think they're a good team. I could see them definitely being, staying even where they are at the 1 seed to close the year, but I don't think they win a finals.
What are the Clippers doing this year?
They are. I was just going to bring them up, actually. They are flying right under the radar.
That's what I was
They've jumped right over the Lakers. Everyone's healthy again. I think
it's that Ty Lue
Clippers.
effect.
I think the Clippers are the team to beat in the West. Obviously, the Jazz would be record-wise, but
I'm worried about Anthony Davis's health, though. It's his hamstring or his calf? What was the injury?
I think it's a lower leg, so I think it might.
When
be
you re-injure it, that's a bad sign.
Yeah, they're a team that
gonna flip the switch too.
They're gonna flip the switch. I don't think home court really affects a team like that, and they probably let Anthony Davis sit out as long as he needs. It is kind of surprising though that they're struggling as much as they are without him, because LeBron does have help over there right now, even without Davis. They have Schroeder, they have Montrezl Harrell, they have a lot of players.
Marc Gasol, who obviously is not great, but he's still
he's
okay.
A bum now.
Is he really that
he
bad?
He is kind of bad. He's just lazy. Marc Gasol, he doesn't really move.
All right, we got a new segment here. I'm calling it the True or False segment. I got 6 statements, and we're going to answer whether we think that's true or false.
Okay.
Love it.
Bill Belichick has won his last Super Bowl. True or false? And when I mean, as a head coach, I'm not counting like if he's going to go into some type of management position.
For sure.
Which wouldn't be, I don't know who would hire that guy because he can't draft.
False.
I'm going to go true.
False.
True. I don't think that the Patriots are really going to be able to find their way to that next quarterback anytime before he retires.
Yeah, I'm gonna say true as well. I just think it's unrealistic for us to find, like you said, RJ, that franchise quarterback, that piece. Again, I'm not. It's not a down look on Belichick. I'm not a hater or anything like that. But I think just being very honest with the situation. I mean, he's getting up there too.
No, I was just gonna say it really depends how long the guy sticks around.
Absolutely.
If he stays around for 5+ years, false looks a lot better than true. But
that really all comes down to the GM. Like he's got as a GM has to step up. If he doesn't, he's fucked. He's
I'm just
fried.
gonna go on the record as false, but it's not a confident false.
Not okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Next up, we got the Celtics will never win a championship with Brad Stevens as the head coach. You know where I'm going on this one. That's true because right now I feel like the Celtics are not close, especially when you have Brooklyn in the conference. Milwaukee, Philly seems like they're getting better. I just think they are too far away right now where at some point somebody's going to have to get held accountable.
That
whether
depends to me.
Whether you want to call him the sacrificial lamb, it's going to get to a point. He's been the coach for, 8 years?
6, 7, or 7 or 8, yeah.
How many more years are you going to give him if you can't get to the finals, especially with Brown and Tatum?
Yeah, I guess this statement, to me, depends on how long he stays as coach, because I do think...
well, you got to kind of factor that in.
Yeah, I really do think that they're going to stick with him as long as he wants to be around. Yeah, I'll say false. I'll say false, yeah.
They're treating it like the way Wick and Ainge were talking about it, like it's like a lifetime position. But I do kind of agree with you that I feel like they're going to be reluctant to move on from him. But if it gets to the point where the players have tuned him out and Brown and Tatum don't want to play for him, I would hope they're going to choose the players over the coach because it's a players' league.
They will. Yeah.
I'm going to say false on that as well, just because I think long term I do have high hopes for this team. I think, we didn't really mention it. We were talking about, their struggles as of late, but I do think that Brad has a really long leash. It would have to be such a terrible, worse than what it's been.
Like a 7-8 seed finish, and a first round exit.
Or even a missed playoff berth, which is possible just because of how tight the conference is right now.
If the season finishes, if they finish this way where they're hovering around 500 and they're like the 7-8 seed and they get bounced in the first round, you're not going to tell me that it should be highly debated whether he should go, or at least next year. I already think he should be on the hot seat, but really should be on the hot seat next year.
If this does carry out and they don't make any moves at the deadline, that just also furthers his excuse and leash, because Danny's just going to take the blame on himself, and a lot of people are going to point at the roster, but yeah, I'm false on that.
Yeah, I'm just going to continue that and saying again, I think it would have to be literally a missed playoff berth to even consider firing him. I think that's how long of a leash that he has. And just generally looking at this outlook, I think the Celtics have been dealt a bad hand the past couple years with our luck. It goes back to the Kyrie leaving and that trade with Isaiah Thomas somehow not working in our favor when that was a layup for us.
Yeah, we fleeced him essentially.
Yeah. And then the bad signing of Hayward, which was again due to injuries. Kemba's signing is still up in the air, but the perspective isn't great. But in general, having Tatum and Brown, they're so easy to build around. Having those versatile wings that can defend, at high levels, both create their own shot. Yeah. That is the two easiest pieces to build around in the league.
It's like the
GM's not doing a very good job.
Absolutely. And so I do think, just because of that outlook, I think eventually we can be real contenders, and I think Brad's going to be the coach of the future, so I will say false.
I think the GM's got to do a better job putting guys around him, though.
I think we all agree with that.
Because at the end of the day, I know they're under contract for 4 or 5 more years, but in the NBA, that means nothing. And if one of these guys gets frustrated, and they easily could shoot their way out of town.
Yeah. I want to say about the bench, it's got to be only, in my opinion, it's probably only the last 2 seasons that the bench and the role players haven't been there, though. And it's just a shame that the bench and the role players weren't matched up with Brown and Tatum being at the level they are now. Because, you rewind 2 years, we still have a bench of Terry Rozier, Marcus Morris. You got, I don't know who else, but you got the pieces around.
Bench.
Marcus Smart was probably coming off the bench too. So the bench was there, the pieces you needed were there, and it's just Tatum and Brown were too young to carry a team.
We kind of brought that up last episode. It's crazy to see kind of where they were a couple years ago, which is. I think, like you said, it's a little bit of bad luck, but also it's a little bit of mismanagement. I think they kind of handcuffed themselves to the wrong guy with Kyrie.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I guess you can really do about that. I guess you go back and you still make the deal, but at the time when they traded that that pick, that first-round pick, it ended up being 8, right? And they got Sexton. Yeah. They didn't know that was going to be an 8th pick at the time. At that point, that pick had, like, value of, like, a top 3 pick.
Yeah.
So they could have used it somewhere else. I just think they hitched their wagon to the wrong guy at that time, and I really do think that has set them back, the Kyrie situation.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the quote that Wick had on air got misconstrued a little bit, and I saw like a headline that people were saying that that Kyrie thing had a domino effect, and it was like them blaming for the shortcomings this year, and that was not the case. He was really just saying that in terms of...
Are you talking about the Felger and Nash?
Yeah. And that he was really referring to like their free agent success since that point, and I think that so I agree.
I like Wick, honestly. Like, even though he's the owner, like I was getting a little agitated just by, I don't think Brown and Tatum are selfish at all. When I'm like, come on, dude, you watch the games, but I give him credit because there's not a lot of owners that'll go on the radio, especially on Felger and Maz, who are complete fucking vultures.
Yeah.
And like Robert Kraft doesn't come on the radio, Jeremy Jacobs doesn't come on the radio, John Henry doesn't go on the radio. At least he's willing to go and face the music when times are tough. So I do give Wick credit for that. Next up, Aaron Rodgers will finish his career.
You skipped on.
Did I?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I did. The Red Sox are the team in Boston furthest away from a championship.
False.
I agree.
I think I think the Patriots are probably the furthest away, and I think that the Red Sox, now that they have Alex Cora, and baseball is such a weird sport, they could easily put a run together that no one sees coming.
And there's no cap in baseball, so if they really wanted to, they could just go in their wallet and throw out a bunch of money. So that's how I feel about that. Just because it's just a different dynamic, 2 different sports.
Yeah.
I'll say false. I don't have the wherewithal or knowledge on baseball to really make a convincing argument, but Jesse sounded good. So.
Aaron Rodgers will finish his career with just 1 Super Bowl victory.
True.
I'm going to go false. I don't think he's going to finish his career in Green Bay. I think he'll be freed up there eventually because they took Jordan Love in the first round last year. And I think eventually he will be able to outlive Brady, and I think Brady will be out of the league, and that'll open up Rodgers to win one towards the end of his career. He's, 30, was he 37?
Probably, no, like 35, I think.
Okay. Still,
36 maybe.
I still think he's got at least a few more years left in his prime. I think it comes down if he can outlive Brady. Other than that, then he might not be.
This is an extremely hard true for me. I think that guy is just... I mean, I think that the talent is there. I'm not going to sit here and say he's not a talented quarterback. But within the organization, it's like there's always some hostility. There's always some mismanagement.
Yeah.
And he has pieces around him. That guy's been to 1 Super Bowl.
That's why I think if it happens, it's not going to happen in Green Bay. I think he's going to have to get shaked out of there and go somewhere else.
I agree with you that. I think that would give him the best chance because I don't know what monkey's hanging over him since that first Super Bowl appearance and win. But, oh, my gosh.
Weird dude that can't have ever maintained. He has no relationship with his parents. He just didn't just break up with Danica Patrick and now he's already engaged again.
That chick, she's an actress. Shailene Woodley.
What was that show that she was on back in the
Secret Life of an American Teenager?
Yeah.
I had to look it up. I'm like, what is she from? And
that's how.
That's
what I recognized her from. I was like, what was that show called?
Yeah. Oh man.
Next up, D1 college athletes should be paid.
False. It's too tricky of a slope to go on because you base it off of revenue. Some sports are more popular than others. It's just a weird... I think...
so what about like football, basketball players?
I mean, they would obviously be the ones who should be, but then you're going to have the other sports complaining about equal pay and this and that. I think you should be lifting the certain restrictions that they have for their ability to do what they want to make money, whether it's signing autographs or endorsements, but
we're on the same page tonight because that was my exact point too. They shouldn't be sanctioned for when like a coach buys them a meal, or buys them some new shoes, like the whole Marcus Camby. It happens everywhere.
Yeah.
What actually happened with that whole John Calipari Marcus Camby scandal?
Honestly, I don't know the details of it. I'm just pretty sure that he paid him to come to UMass, essentially.
Yeah, that's to my knowledge as well. And I'm actually going to go, disagree with you guys here. I think it's definitely true. This is something that I was a sports management student in college. This is something I was much more familiar with like a couple years ago. We did a lot of studies and projects on this, but in general, I think it should be true. Again, it is tricky. You're going to have people that are frustrated as in regards to like, okay, well, how much does the women's swim team make, and that's no disrespect, but they're not pulling in the same
revenue
as the college football team. So I do think it should be based off of that. And at the very least, the name and likeness piece is what has to change first. Like, they should be able to sign autographs and profit off of that. They should be able to, when now that EA is making the NCAA video game, they should be able to say, like, Trevor Lawrence or whoever, like, when they're, in
or maybe
the game.
sign endorsements with, like, shoe deals.
In those games, those college games, do they have the actual players in the game?
That in the past, I never really played those growing up, but it was always, like, vaguely familiar,
it was
avatars.
The same number, no name, or, like, something like that.
It's always funny to me how Bill Belichick isn't in Madden.
Yeah, it is weird. Knowing that they just call him any coach or Chad Masters.
Oh, man, yeah. I just think that it needs to happen. I think it's just well behind, and there's just so much money that's made from these teams. I mean, it's awesome and it's cool when you see, like, oh, check out Tennessee's new locker room and their new, and they spoil the athletes with their gear, but it's like, dude, these guys are bringing in close to professional levels of revenue, and a lot of the time this is like
just a scummy business.
Those guys aren't going to make it to the next step.
No, you're 100% right.
And they put all their eggs in that basket. And while they shouldn't do that, some of these guys aren't lucky enough to have those other opportunities. I think they should get their payday. I think once that first domino falls with the name and likeness, I know that's been talked about a lot lately. I think once that piece falls, I think it's going to be a domino effect, and I think it's really going to change up college sports.
Especially when you think of how big a football roster is, college rosters. I mean, those guys on the bottom, like the bottom half of the roster, aren't going anywhere. They're going to end up selling insurance, something like that. So it's unfortunate. My issue with it is not that they don't deserve money. It's just like the gray area, like that slippery slope of how do you really manage it. But I'm not going to bat an eye if it ends up happening. I don't like the way that they're treated, where you go get a free fucking meal from Chipotle from your coach, and it's like, oh, yep, you're fucking losing freaking, I don't know, you're suspended from whatever.
It's so tight, and it's so easy to do that, and especially when you think of these people that come from like terrible, home situations and things of that nature, and this is their first exposure to just being, having the opportunity to even like stay at college and having access, even like a meal plan is a huge upgrade for some of these guys, and they work their whole life to get to this point, and a lot of the times it happens without them realizing. They put their trust in like certain like AAU coaches or people that help them get to the next level, and then a couple years later it comes out and titles are sanctioned and players are punished, and it's terrible. I just think it's so ridiculous, and these kids are 18 years old when they're making some of these decisions, and it just needs to change.
Yeah, I totally get your point. All right, last one of either Tatum or Brown will stay with the Celtics their entire career. False. I go false.
True.
The way the NBA is going, I just think, just look at the trend. I just think it's crazy to think that one guy is going to stay with the team his entire career. Because if the team struggles, who cares if you're under contract? I'm going to shoot my way out of town.
If you only named one of them, I probably would have said false. But since you're leaving it up to either one to stay in Boston their whole career, I'll say true.
If there was to be a guy, which one do you think it would be?
Honestly, it's hard to say. I think they value Tatum more, but Brown seems to have a little more loyalty in his DNA.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback up what Jesse said. Same exact thing. If you had said, like, pick one of them and just said it, I probably would have said false. But I think one of them will end up staying. It is crazy when you look at, like, the superstars in the league. I think, like, Steph is, like, currently, like, the longest tenured player. Steph and Clay are the only teammates that stayed beyond, like, 5 years.
That's crazy.
Been to an All-Star game. I don't know the exact stat. I saw it a little while ago. But, I just think that, I think it helps their case, too, that they have each other. They were basically the same age. They complement each other well. So I think that helps their odds. And if I had to pick one, I'd probably say Jalen. I don't know. I just think his personality. That's how I feel just what I've seen from other athletes. But
it just all comes down to if they can win or not. If they're winning here, and they'll be happy. But you just see these superstars, and the team starts to struggle. They'll shoot their way out of town. They don't want to lose, because I think all these NBA players have big images, and they don't want to be on some loser team that can't win, and they'll leave.
And the windows are so short in the NBA, which comes back to some of the stuff we were saying about age. We don't got to get to that again, but the window is shorter than we think. I mean, even we have these guys under contract right now, which is great, but it's like that's going to close before we realize.
And then you think about it too when you look around the league, and you're on a team that is struggling, but so you still got Tatum and Brown, decent team. But then you look around, like, there's fucking Brooklyn, the Lakers, all these powerhouse super teams. It's like, how are we ever going to get past this? And that's why I think some guys get frustrated because they think they have no shot, which honestly is usually true, just because you think the super Golden State, the Lakers last year, looking like Brooklyn might win the championship this year. All right, we good to go for trivia? You writing the last question right now?
I'm writing the last question.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I got for the true or false segment. Let's see if there's any off-topic or miscellaneous stuff I wanted to get to.
Do you have any notable dunking trips lately?
Well, actually, I have my coffee right there. It's a good... Nick's got some munchkins in here. I still, as you've heard me bring up the last episode, the one before, getting these Amazon calls from these people trying to scam me. I got one this week from this guy, or this automated thing, saying there was a warrant out for my arrest in Colorado. And it's the same people trying to, like, scam me. And they called me again yesterday, and it was the Amazon thing. I stayed on the line, and I was like, this is an FBI agent. What are you doing calling this phone? The guy goes, like, off script, and he's like, oh, yeah, it's so funny. He hangs up, because I probably scared him. And then they called me again 10 minutes later, and this time I played into the dude's game and was like, oh, yeah, I think my Amazon account was hacked. And he's like, oh, would you like to cancel it? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, you need to get on a computer and go to www.mycomputer.com or something and download this software. So at this point, I flipped the script on him. I was like, oh, you want me to download that software so you can hack into my computer? You fucking scumbag. And he's like, sir, calm down. Have a drink of water. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. I know your game, buddy. And he just kept saying, have a glass of water. Have a glass of water. Hung up. One of the times I'm going to get them on this fucking podcast. Fucking scumbags. They make, and then when I, like, call them out on it, they'll, like, they'll tease you and mock you. They're probably making bank off those old people.
I agree. One little tip for all the viewers out there, or listeners out there, I should say. I did do some telemarketing in my day, just doing some fundraising for UMass when I was a student there. And I will say the rules are that if you say to take them, a lot of people like to pick up the phone, be like, F you, whatever. But if you do say take them off, or take me off this list, they are legally required to do that. Now, again, I don't know how many... Like, it's all sorts of illegal anyway, so I don't know how they really follow that.
Yeah, because this isn't even, like, telemarketing. This is, like, straight scam. Like, they're not a real place. Yeah. They're totally probably in some... Who the fuck knows where these people are calling me from? And it's always an Illinois area code or Seattle. Yeah. So I don't know.
Absolutely. Well, if you do pick it up, I will say I recommend it. I have noticed a decrease in scam calls since I started working there, and I've been doing that with every telemarketer. But that can't really help you with the robots either.
Yeah, I got to stop playing into their game, though. I think they keep calling me because they know I'm going to pick up and talk to them. They think they're going to get me one of these times, but nah, not happening. All right, we good?
All right, we're ready. So we don't have any markers, so you guys are going to have to flip over on the back.
We don't have even one marker?
Well, you guys might as well both use paper and pen if there's only one marker.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Let's get it.
So we got Nick and RJ trivia, questions made by yours truly. No Andy today, so.
Thank God, honestly. Your performance, much better than any Gifford we've ever had on here.
Any Gifford.
In the Gifford's home, too. The disrespect. Dwelling in their basement.
Just brutal. All right, so a lot of these questions change in format. Some of them are going to be whoever can name the most of a certain topic will get the question, yada yada. I'll let you guys know as we go. All right, you ready?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good to go.
Okay, name the 3 teams that the LA Lakers beat in their NBA Finals three-peat from 99 to 2002. Most correct opponents named gets the question.
Do I have to put it in order?
Nope, does not have to be in order. Yeah, we got some tough ones here. It's gonna be tough on both of you, but
I think I know one of them, and then the other ones I'm like kind of know, but I'm not 100% sure.
I bet if you dig deep, you'll be able to think of them. And your hint is that it is 3 different teams. There's no 2-time. And for those who didn't know, Shaquille O'Neal was named Finals MVP each of those 3 years.
All right, I think I'm good. There's no chance I got it.
I'll give it.
Yeah, you got 30 seconds.
All right.
Celtics on tonight?
Tomorrow.
I
don't know what time they're at, but playing Washington, like I said.
Yeah.
Actually, my lock, I think they're going to cover. Washington's.
Depends how much. The Celtics,
the spread's probably going to be close.
Have you been looking at their spreads every game?
Because I have been out of the betting game for a week now.
Even on this skid of theirs, they're still like 4-point favorites every night.
That's
Ready?
what's horrible about it.
All right. Let's hear what you guys got.
All right, so want me to go first?
Yep.
I have the Sixers, the Pistons, and the Pacers.
Okay, and you have...
I have the Nets, the Sixers, and the Pistons.
Both of you guys get 2 out of 3.
Ooh.
The correct answer is the Pacers, the Sixers, and the Nets.
Oh, dude, for some reason I thought...
Sixers. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Pacers, Sixers, Nets.
Pacers,
The Pistons started getting to the finals just after their 3
Didn't the Pistons beat them in the finals?
They did. The next... Or I think there was a 1-year break because the Spurs won in 2003.
The Nets came to my head, but for some reason I thought they lost.
Vince...
Didn't the Nets beat the Celtics to go to the finals?
Yeah, they did.
Fuck, I was thinking that they lost in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah. I knew the Nets and the Sixers, but the Pistons were like my blind guess. I'm like, I knew they made the finals.
So since you guys got the majority, though, we'll count that as a correct answer for each party. So just give you guys a check mark here. 1 to 1.
These are a lot better than those internet questions that fucking Andy.
Oh, this is a good one. I love good NBA.
Okay, this one is going to be a big one for you guys. So, give me the single-season NFL record holder for these 7 categories. Most correct wins.
Wait, single season
Single-season statistic record. I'm going to name the 7 categories here, and I'll repeat them as much as need. You have passing yards, passing touchdowns, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, and sacks. I'm not looking for the number, I'm looking for the player.
Okay, so
it's passing, receiving, rushing, both yards and touchdowns, and then sacks. Single season record.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, man.
So the most of that category in a single season. If you have any questions on the categories, let me know.
All right, what were after the quarterback ones, the 2?
Receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, and then sacks.
So then you said rushing yards or something?
Yep, rushing yards and touchdowns, and then sacks. And your one hint is that 6 of the 7 of these record holders came in our lifetime. Only one of them is not from our lifetime. I know. It speaks to the end.
The last one is sacks, you said?
Yep.
Oh, I should know that.
So it's, passing, receiving, rushing, yards and touchdowns, and then sacks.
Alright, I'm good.
Give me 1 more second.
Yeah, this is the longest. Oh, actually, there is one that's a little longer.
I like it, though.
Yeah, no,
Jesse
I'm trying to I tried to dive into some good ones here. We're kind of running out of... You really got to dive deep for some of these questions.
This is probably at least close to our 10th time doing trivia on the show.
So...
Yeah. Don't want to have any repeats of questions. That would be bad.
Yeah, it's a bad luck.
All right. I'll,
Take your time. 30 seconds left.
yeah.
Take your time, but there's 30 seconds left.
All right. I'm good.
All right, so I don't know if the best way to do this would be I'll have you guys each say your 7, and then I'll read the correct list. So
all right, let me go first.
Nick can start this time.
All right.
Start with passing yards, go down to sacks.
Passing yards, I didn't know. I said Aaron Rodgers. Touchdowns, I said Peyton Manning. Receiving yards, I said Calvin Johnson. Receiving touchdowns, I said Randy Moss. Rushing yards, I said Emmitt Smith. Rushing touchdowns, I said LaDainian Tomlinson. And sacks, I said Lawrence Taylor.
Okay.
A lot of the same answers.
Yeah, I probably figured that.
So I had touchdowns, Mahomes.
Okay.
Yards, I had Drew Brees.
Okay.
Receiving yards, Calvin Johnson.
Yep.
Receiving touchdowns, Randy Moss.
Yeah.
Rushing touchdowns, I had Daniel Tomlinson.
Yeah.
Most rushing yards in a season, I had Barry Sanders. And most sacks, I had Lawrence Taylor.
Nick. Wait.
Doesn't get it right.
No, Nick does win by a score of 4-3. So I'm going to go down the list here.
Fuck.
So Nick got correct answers on passing touchdowns, Peyton Manning with 55. Receiving yards, Calvin Johnson. Receiving touchdowns, Randy Moss. Rushing touchdowns, LaDainian Tomlinson. So you got 3 of the same ones right.
Fuck.
It went Manning for passing yards, Manning for passing touchdowns, Calvin Johnson yards, Moss touchdowns. Eric Dickerson was the one out of our lifetime.
Dang it.
He beat out AP by 8 yards. LaDainian Tomlinson, and then Michael Strahan had 22.5 sacks in 2000. And
Wow.
yeah, so
For some reason, I knew Peyton Manning had the touchdown record, but I was thinking like that. I thought Mahomes like almost broke it for some reason.
Mahomes tied Brady.
He had 50,
Okay.
or at least 50. But
An
the
easy
Evan Smith
50.
thing throws me off because he's a career leader, and
Yeah.
I just couldn't remember. I almost put Dickerson too, but I had no idea if
That
it
was a good
Strahan or
one.
passing yards. But yeah, that was a great question.
Okay, so here's this one. We're diving into college basketball here.
This is just setting up for Nick. This is
Name
bullshit.
the 2 teams UConn beat in this decade to claim their 2 national championships. 2011 and 2014 were the years.
Fuck you. I have no fucking clue.
I'm not a big college basketball guy, so I'm really kind of guessing here as well.
Those are just my favorite college basketball runs, so I had to show them some love.
So, which 2 teams did UConn beat?
In Kemba Walker's 2011 national championship, and then in 2014.
Do I have to say which year? Can I just name
No,
it?
you could just name the 2 schools, and they don't have to be in order.
And they're different schools. You'll tell
Different
us that
schools
much.
is
That's
your
good.
hint.
All right, I'm
Correct.
good.
All right.
Random guess.
Give me 1 sec. I can have one down.
Maybe I can pull this one out of my ass and tie it up.
Yeah.
All right.
Want me to go first this time?
Yep.
I had Villanova and Duke.
I had Butler and UNC.
Nick is correct. Butler, they beat Brad Stevens Butler in 2011, and in 2014 they beat John Calipari's Kentucky.
Okay.
So he got one.
He got one there.
No,
I knew Butler, but I had no. The other one was a blind guess.
All right, here we're going over to the world of boxing. Question number 4. In 1971, name the boxer that handed Muhammad Ali his first professional loss via 15-round decision.
What was the year on that? You said
1971, in a arguably many people call it the best boxing bout of all time. 15-round decision.
Would
Muhammad
this be
Ali's first
considered a
loss.
Thrilla in Manila?
I cannot comment on anything. And I don't
I got
even know
mine.
what Thrilla in Manila is.
I've heard of that term.
I've heard of the Rumble in the Jungle, I believe. But
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. All right, I got my answer. I don't think it's right, though.
I don't even have another boxer from that era. I don't know. Yes, to be honest with you. Holy crap! I'll just write down someone that punches people.
There you go.
All right. I had Evander Holyfield.
Okay.
I had Joe Frazier.
Joe Frazier is correct.
Wow, nice
it.
job.
I needed
Evander
it.
Holyfield is a respectable guess.
Yeah,
dog.
I know he was like 90s. He
Yeah.
went against
He beat Tyson, right?
He beat Tyson.
yeah.
I literally just
And I think that's who Tyson bit his ear.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Needed that. That's a big. I
that
needed
is
that.
big.
If I go fall down
So
3,
far,
4 questions in, it's
Nick
3-2.
Nick is leading 3-2 through 4 questions. Question number 5. Give me as many starting outfielders from the World Series winning 2013 Red Sox as you can.
All right.
Starting outfielders
Yep, there are 3 outfielders.
in the 2013.
They're
team.
their last, the 2013 title. So the Boston Strong championship year.
So I'm naming as many as I can, or
No,
just like the starters.
There are the 3 starters that appeared in as a trio the most. There's 3 clear outfielders that you would name.
I'm like blanking bad on this for some reason. Fuck.
I'd say they do start to get probably slightly easier from here on out, but no promises.
Why am I blanking on the certain? I can't believe I'm blanking this hard on one
You
of the
would think.
positions
I
right
hope
now.
RJ chokes this one big time.
Yeah.
That
This would be
make
this
it
this
easy
this
for me.
question is set up for me.
Yeah, I mean,
I think I have 2 of them. I'm totally fucking choking on the third guy.
so you guys know your hint. This is the Boston Strong year, the year that David Ortiz hit the grand slam with the cop in the stands.
Bullpen cop?
Yeah. Bullpen cop guy.
Yeah, takes pictures at every game since.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm gonna have
30 seconds.
I'm probably good whenever you're good, RJ.
Yeah, all right, I'm good.
All right,
Best
Nick,
I'm
go
good.
ahead and give me your names.
I have Carl Crawford,
Okay, not a bad guess.
Mookie Betts, and Coco Crisp.
Ah, okay.
All right, right field, I have Shane Victorino.
Yep.
Left field, I have Johnny Gomes.
Yep.
And center field is the one I could not. I put Ellsbury.
Yeah, correct.
Holy crap! None of mine were right, obviously, right?
No, Carl Crawford was close, though. I was thinking you would at least know maybe Ellsbury.
Crawford got traded in 2012, so
positionally it was tough, and I knew, I just put Mookie just because I knew he was around. I didn't know what he got drafted.
So
if he,
I knew
played. I didn't think
the 07 season, it was Ellsbury and Crisp out in center field, left field. So I couldn't remember. I knew Crisp wasn't on the team anymore, but I couldn't remember if Ellsbury got traded right before
in
2013.
07, right field must have been JD Drew.
Yep, correct. Yep, I think he actually was the ALCS MVP or World Series.
What position did Crawford play? Just
left
field.
Okay, so I picked 3 outfielders, right? All right,
there
we go. That's about as good as I could do then, honestly.
Wait, who was the other one you named besides Crisp and Crawford?
It was Mookie.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I almost said JBJ.
I did too. Just because I knew he was
back to basketball and what is arguably our longest question. Probably won't take as much thinking as it might. All right. Name the 2010 All-Star starters for each conference. Most correct names wins.
2010. All right.
2010, and for the year, we're talking about the 09-10 season. So this is the year that the Celtics lost to the Lakers in the finals, not the year that the Mavericks beat the Heat.
I have no fucking clue.
And the tiebreaker, if you guys want to put the tiebreaker down just in case, the tiebreaker is who is the All-Star Game MVP.
Okay. You said 2010?
2010, yeah. And RJ, just so you know, there's 5 people in the starting lineup for the All-Star game.
Oh, funny. Fuck you.
I guess I'll check my Robinhood app in the meantime because I'm a full-time investor. No, I'm not.
Stonks only go up.
I'm choking hard. I really don't fucking know.
You got it. It was a different era.
It's a weird year, to be honest with you.
I'm trying to think of who was fucking really good then.
Yeah.
2009, 2010 was the LeBron MVP year. Not that helps, but I'm trying to set the climate for you.
Yeah.
I think we can put that guy down, maybe. Perhaps.
Man. This is a tough one.
I know.
I'm trying to think of as many guys as I can off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, it's tough. You're definitely going to hear them and probably, in some cases, be like, damn.
Yeah, how the fuck did I miss him?
Yeah. Trying to think if I've got anything to keep the viewers entertained in the meantime here. Take your time. No,
I'm probably not even gonna be able to fill it up. I don't.
Oh, you gotta at least fill it up.
You
with
got
some
it, man.
names.
You got some names in there.
I really don't.
What do I have on my mind? Yeah, so Jeff Teague, back-to-back 14-point games. What is he going to do against the Wizards?
Probably not much.
If he puts double digits up, we might have something going there.
All right, I'm good.
Don't forget your tiebreaker.
I do. I got it. I maybe got 2.
Okay. You think you got 2 correct?
Yeah. I can't. I'm not good at this. I'm blanking bad.
This, in my opinion, is probably the most difficult remaining question.
This is what, question 6, and we're
question
tied
6
3-3?
with 4 to go after this. And I got a tiebreaker on
It's
that.
quickly my turn to our longest episode.
What?
It's quickly my turn to our longest episode.
What are we at right now?
Hour 23.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know what the longest was. It's like hour 30.
You good, Nick?
Yeah.
Who started? He started first
Yeah,
last?
I think I did the last one.
Yo, all right.
So should I start with my East starters?
Start with your East.
All right. So point guard, Allen Iverson.
You don't have to specify position.
All right. Iverson, Ray Allen, LeBron, Kevin Garnett, Dwight Howard. In the West, I have Chris Paul, Kobe, Carmelo, Dirk, Tim Duncan.
Kobe. You said Kobe.
Melo,
Yep.
Dirk, Tim Duncan. And I said Chris Paul as the point guard.
Wow. We had a lot of similar answers. I think you did pretty good there.
Okay.
All right. My East was obviously no positions. LeBron, Garnett, Wade. I had Rondo, Dwight, and then I had for the West, I had Kobe, Chris Paul, Melo, Pau Gasol, and I put Yao Ming.
I had Pau Gasol at one point, and I crossed him out for
I just know
Duncan.
they won the title that
You
year.
say your West one more time?
Yeah, it was Kobe Bryant, Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony, Pau Gasol, Yao Ming. Just know those China voters, man. I don't know
that's
if
a
the
good.
fan voters were in.
That
on
actually might pull it off for
He
you.
was almost definitely on that team.
By a score of 6-5, RJ takes the question. RJ got 3 from each conference.
Jeez.
You both got duped by Kobe Bryant. I don't know how he wasn't an All-Star starter that
Was
year.
he hurt? Maybe
He must have been.
Wow.
No,
So
but they won the finals that year.
So your Eastern Conference All-Stars were LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Dwight Howard, Joe Johnson, who must have been a
Gross.
fill-in,
Really gross.
and Kevin Garnett.
Who's he playing for back then? Atlanta? Still?
Yeah, Atlanta.
All right.
And for your Western Conference, you had Carmelo Anthony, Dirk, Steve Nash, Amare Stoudemire, and Tim Duncan. That was when Nash and Amare were
Yeah.
at the top of their
Yeah,
powers.
I had Nash and I crossed it out for CP.
Who'd you say was like the
I thought that
three?
earlier.
That you
Who
got.
were the West? No, who are the West starters again?
Melo, Dirk, Nash, Stoudemire, Tim Duncan.
I saved myself with them. I had Durant down at first, and I crossed him out and put in Melo.
Oh,
So that's
snap.
it. When we had a
Yeah,
wash.
I had
What were
five.
your guys' tie MVPs?
I had Kobe, but he wasn't even
Yeah.
in it, I guess.
I didn't put one down.
D
I
Wade.
forgot.
D Wade was the.
Wade was
All-Star
a
that
good.
year.
When you said Wade, I was like, yeah, Wade was
I
definitely.
almost
star.
cleaned up in the East. I just got Rondo wrong. It was just the West that killed me.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got RJ ahead,
My one question.
4-3 through 6.
Do we have another piece of paper by any chance?
You already have
Here,
it.
take this. Take this.
Yeah, there you
Thanks,
go.
bud. It's all right.
Okay. Question 7.
Questions left.
Yep.
Sorry,
4 questions left. Yep. Question 7. Name the 3 infamous Super Bowl catches against the Patriots. I want the name of the wide receivers. This is in the both of the Giants losses and then in the Seattle Seahawks Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
There was 3 ridiculous catches that happened that if you as a Patriots fan, we all know of those catches.
All right. Good one.
And I just need the name of the receiver for each catch.
So 2 Giants, 1 Seahawks, right?
Yes.
Let me just. Yeah, I'm good.
All right, you start.
All right. I had David Tyree, Mario Manningham, and Jermaine Kearse.
Same exact answers.
Correct.
God damn. I knew that one too.
I
That
was
might
like,
have been the easiest one.
so the Mario Manningham
was-
one, I was like, was it Manningham?
I wasn't sure if someone was going to slip up with the curse one and maybe say like Baldwin
I
or
thought he was
Lockett
going to do that 'cause I knew he was going to know the Giants.
or
ones.
maybe Percy Harvin or something. But good job.
That's a battle right now.
Oh, God,
I'm like,
sweating.
I'm shaking because of this coffee too. I haven't had anything
We
to eat
got-
today. I'm
we
jittering
got-
as hell right now.
We got 3 questions to go. RJ's holding a 5-4 lead here. Question number 8. Who famously gave Paul Pierce his nickname, The Truth? Your hint is that he is an NBA player.
like not like just in general.
Yeah, well, he's not like a personality. He's not like a fan. It was a player.
All right, I'm good. Want to go first? Shaq.
Yeah.
Shaq.
Correct. 2 questions to go. Nick is down 1.
I just got to get
RJ.
one right and at least hold a draw.
6-5. There is a tiebreaker.
Okay, that's good that you're prepared for that.
Okay, number 9. Staying in the NBA. Actually, we're staying in the NBA all the way through, surprisingly.
You're setting me up to fail.
I'm not. I'm really...
Hey, you got that.
Give me another baseball question. I want to end this now.
All right, number 9. Name the only 2 players to win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same season.
Say it again.
Name the only 2 NBA players to win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same season. Your hint, you both get the same. Your hint is that it occurred within 10 years of each other. That's your window.
Okay. Ooh.
Actually, I'll be more specific. It occurred within 7 years of each other.
Oh boy.
And for a tiebreaker, name put the year of when they did it, just in case it comes to that.
I don't think I'm going to get this one right.
Dig deep, you guys.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for the help.
Yeah. Pep talk.
I don't know.
I think
Who answered first?
I did, I think.
Yeah, I had Michael Jordan in 95, 96, and then I had Kevin Garnett in 03, 04.
Okay.
I think that's right. I had Michael Jordan, LeBron James.
Both of you guys get one. So we're going to count it as we'll give you guys the check mark for each. You both got Michael Jordan. The other answer was Hakeem Olajuwon.
Oh no!
RJ, your hint was they have been within
I
7
couldn't
years
think of another
each other.
name, but then I couldn't think of another name.
It was Jordan in 87,
I just realized,
88.
Was Olajuwon like 898?
Jordan in 87, 88. Olajuwon in 93, 94.
Damn, so Jordan did that in 87?
Yeah, in his third year.
7 years threw me off because I was thinking Jordan did. I don't know why I put 90. I was thinking he did it at like one of the last of the three-peats, and then I thought Garnett did it too, and when he got his MVP in 04. But I almost put Hakeem. Goddamn.
Okay, going in to the final question. RJ holds a 1-point lead here, 7-6. There have been 2 foreign-born Finals MVPs since 2000. Name them.
Foreign-born Finals MVP since 2000.
And name the year of their Finals MVP for the question tiebreaker. And if you guys tie the question, I have an actual tiebreaker.
Wait, so
name the year that they won Finals MVP.
is that a part of the question?
It
That's
is
just a
no,
tiebreaker?
it's the tiebreaker for the question. So if you both get it correct,
Okay.
and in order to take the tiebreaker,
And you said how recent? You just said
since 2000 there have been
Since
2 foreign-born
Okay.
MVPs in the finals.
Okay.
So the way it'll go is if you both get the names and one of you doesn't get either year right, but one of you gets 1 year right, that person will get the credit.
Okay.
And if you both get 1 year right, you'll both get the question.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Yep.
Oh man.
I think I got one of them for sure. I'm blanking on the second guy though.
Think long and hard. You guys got as much time as you want. It's question 10.
Oh boy, I gotta think of this.
I think I got it. All right, I'm good. No, I think I'm going first for this one.
Are you?
Yeah, because he went first last one.
Yeah. All right, I got my.
All right, ready?
Yep.
Dirk Nowitzki, Manu Ginobili.
Dirk Nowitzki, 2011. Tony Parker, 2007.
Nick.
Oh
is
my!
Correct. And he's got the years down to the T.
Oh,
Dude,
baby.
I was between Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili
I knew
too.
TP stole one from Timmy. From Timmy on
Oh,
one of those.
my
But I guessed
God.
on the year because the Spurs won it in like 05, 07, and like
99,
Yeah.
03, 05, 07, 13.
exactly. It's like all spaced apart.
Yeah.
But good for you for guessing a Spur though. I had no idea what you were gonna put for the second.
It came
one,
to
though.
me at the last second because I was thinking what year was the Parker one?
07.
Yep, I put 07 down for
Yeah.
Ginobili too. 'Cause it was the year before the Celtics.
I
We
knew
were
it would be a
like-
good question too because they have 2 foreign-born.
Yeah, because I'm like, he's Parker's French,
Yeah.
right? And then Ginobili's what? Some like
Dirk was obviously a gimme.
Yeah,
I
Dirk
hope
had
you
a
guys
layup,
didn't
yeah.
struggle. So I really wasn't expecting it to come to this, and the tiebreaker is kind of
back
weak.
and forth trivia
Oh.
The
game.
tiebreaker is kind of weak. So what I'm thinking is, if you guys both get the tiebreaker right, you got to give me a minute.
Okay.
And I'm gonna come up with one actual question, and then
Okay.
if that ends in a deadlock, you guys are gonna have to have a round 2
At some point.
at another
Yeah,
at a later
another
date.
time, yeah.
Okay.
Tiebreaker is a true or false.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Flip a coin.
Yeah, literally.
Larry Bird won Finals MVP in each of the Celtics' 80s championships: 81, 84, and 86. True or false?
Oh my God. Fuck you for this question. I have no clue.
Question tiebreaker. If you both, no tiebreaker.
Could I get the years? It was 81, 80.
80, 81, 84, 86.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, I'm good.
I'm good as well.
All right.
He's up first.
All right.
False.
I also put false.
Correct.
Oh my God.
I was gonna say. Were you gonna say?
I
Guess who
fucked
did
up. Matt just gave it away almost.
it? I think I knew. Would Cedric Maxwell
In
win one of
81.
them? 81. Yeah.
Yeah.
The 81. I knew he didn't win.
All right, you guys buy some time here. Think of something to talk to. I'm gonna go into the other room to do this. So
All right, so
everyone
yes,
knows it's official.
What an exciting match, RJ.
Yeah,
This is our
I'm
best round of
jittery.
the
I'm
year.
shaking from this coffee right now. I haven't eaten anything in the. I mean, at least I didn't lose. I'm not gonna be losing to Norman.
Oh, my
That's all I got to say about that. But yeah, let me see what else I got here.
I'm just saying, I'm a long-time listener of the show.
Yeah, I think you've been good. You've been really good.
It's
been
happy
good.
to be finally on the pod with the boys. I
Yeah,
enjoy
it's
the
nice to
commentary.
get another voice
Yeah,
in here.
absolutely.
It's going to be now we're in this weird transition with no football, where it's going to be football. Football is the main because there's all these fucking games to talk about during the week. But I know we're going to have maybe not next episode, but the episode after that might have to do Norm versus Jesse because there's not going to be any NBA games to talk about either because they'll have been in the All-Star break. But hopefully, once NFL free agency kicks back up, but
I agree.
I mean, it couldn't be any worse than we were last spring when we had the deal with no sports because of COVID. But also Brady was driving that, talking on the podcast because the whole Brady debate was going on. But there's none of that going on right now.
I think the betting segment definitely takes a hit too. I mean, I love basketball, but betting on basketball is so brutal. It's like you can have a neck-and-neck game for 48 minutes. It's like a 2-point game, and then the foul game starts happening, and a team wins by 10. So it's hard to do like the parlays and the game, and it's not like people are looking forward to the games every weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had a bet this past week, and it was like a parlay, and I needed one more thing to hit, and I took the Pistons plus 9.5 versus New Orleans, and they lost by 10. And they were up by 1 point at like 10 in the second quarter. It's like, man, you guys can't cover fucking 20 points for one half. It's just, the betting game. Betting's game strong. Bet I have for tonight is I like Brooklyn minus 3.5 versus Dallas.
I was gonna say
Brooklyn's just rolling right now. But are they still on a win streak, like a 9-10 game win streak right now?
Yeah, and I think Dallas. That's one thing we didn't mention before is how much Dallas has struggled. I mean, they had that game against the Celtics. I'm sure we all watched. That was just like pure heroic performance from Luka. But in general, it's like they actually have really similar issues with the Celtics, except theirs come down to one guy. It's like if Luka's not making the play, they're really missing Seth Curry. Like Josh Richardson really hasn't helped them much this year. And even though they had that good win over the Celtics, then they got clobbered by the Sixers the other night.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be a good bet too. I'm not much of a betting man, but I would definitely take Brooklyn tonight over Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas is another team that. Watching that game against, they don't have anybody other than Luke, and you can't trust Porzingis to stay healthy.
I agree. I think Porzingis has definitely been a disappointment.
Tim Hardaway Jr. is fine.
Yeah,
I mean, he's not great.
I just think that they tried to put instead of putting like scores and got like Tim Hardaway is a good catch and shoot player, but kind of needs the ball in his hands to create a shot. That's kind of where he excels. They haven't losing Seth Curry and getting like Richardson. It just hurts the spacing, for that team. And you gotta wonder when does like Rick Carlisle's seat get a little hot. You know what I mean?
Has he been the coach there for 20 years?
Forever, and I'm not going to sit here and say he's not a good coach, but it's just like, dude, that guy's got an all-world talent. I mean, Tatum and Brown are special, but like this guy's the future of the league.
But when LeBron, he's probably going to be the best player in the league at one point.
Absolutely.
You can make the argument that he's already like fringe top 5.
I think he's absolutely the most valuable asset in the league. I think if you're building a franchise, I don't think there's any possible.
Didn't Atlanta trade him for Trae Young on draft night? Trae Young's a fine player, but he's a guard. You want that nice big wing player. Well, he kind of is a point guard too, but he's a big guard.
Yeah, I think that, and one thing I will say is I'm not a big Trae Young guy by any means, but the Hawks take a lot of flack for that deal. But it's like, how did the Kings and the Suns get off scot-free for that too? Taking Bagley or taking Ayton at 1, Bagley at 2. It's like, it's just terrible. I mean, it's hard to know, but I think certain like analytics community were super high on Luka, and when people draft European players, it's usually like, oh, they put up, like 16-5 in the Euro League, and they did this and they did that. Luka was the MVP of that league at like 18. Like that dude was like their LeBron, and it wasn't even close. So that's a big miss. But yeah, I think Dallas has to turn it around soon. But
I don't think Porzingis is the answer for the second guy there. He's just not healthy enough. He's a good player, but like, where would you rank him at, like, top 20, 25 player, if that?
Yeah, I think it's definitely been tough. He hasn't been, he's definitely at, like, probably 90% since what he was in New York, which was obviously, like, 3-4 years ago since he was kind of a
he's still, like, kind of young, too, though, right? Isn't he, like, 25, 26?
Oh, he's definitely young, and in
brittle dude. Look how skinny he is. Maybe get into the weight room.
He is pretty good in the post. I think the issue is that he's been shooting the ball really poorly from 3. Luka actually hasn't been shooting that well either, but it's just like, I think you just need a more of a traditional low post player there to help out with Luka, and then maybe just some more spacing on the court. But he's been shooting the ball terribly. Every time I've watched a Mavs game, he's taken a really bad shot late. So I think it can come along, but I think the ball's it's just too revolved around Luka, and Porzingis hasn't hit his rhythm. One thing I saw on the sheet earlier that I don't know if you and Jesse mentioned before was All-Star. Did you feel like anybody got snubbed?
Yeah,
from the All-Star team?
They were talking. Trae Young was the guy that got snubbed. Did Booker get snubbed too?
So Booker ended up being the replacement for Anthony Davis. So he's in there now. But I think for me, it really comes down to I think in the West they really got it right, especially now that Booker got in. I think there was an argument to be made between Booker and Paul, which they went Paul, but Booker got in. And then there was an argument to be made between Zion and Ingram, which I think the fans want to see Zion, so I think that's fine. But In the East, I think there was definitely a mistake made. Like, Vucevic has had a career year, like 24-12, but with just the guys that didn't make it on better teams. I don't like Trey, but he's a name. Chris Middleton, I know it's not a sexy thing, but he's averaging basically what he did last year, shooting 50, 40, 90, like comfortably. Like the shooting splits
He's a solid player. Fringe top 20 in the league.
And
good. Thought maybe
awesome.
He died in there.
It's a tough one.
Oh boy.
It's a tough one.
Good for you, Jesse, for thinking of something on the spot to do
It
that.
was
I know it's
hard. I was like blank for like 2 minutes.
We're at an hour 39.
Well,
right now. I'm fine with it.
okay.
I'm fine with it.
lucky viewers. Lucky
Okay,
listeners.
so we're going back to football.
So this is question 12.
Question 12.
Jeez, so many. You can't lose it now
know.
in double
So-
OT.
We are specifying.
I'm so nervous.
You're going to want to write these years down before we get into the question, right? 07, 08,
Yep.
2011-12, 2014/15, 16/17, and 18/19.
So you said 2013/2014.
2014.
14, 15.
So it's whatever year the Patriots beat the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. So
Okay, so it's what you said 07, 08.
07, 08.
Oh wait, you're saying that's the year 07/.
Yeah, we're talking about, so I can name the season too if you want to have this before I ask the question. It's,
07, 08. I get you.
it's
I
the
got
two
you now.
Giants losses, the win against the Seahawks, the win against the Falcons, and the win against the Rams, all for the Patriots Super Bowls.
Also, all 6 wins.
No. It's the 2 losses to the Giants,
Okay.
and then their last 3 wins against the Seahawks, against the
Okay.
Falcons,
Yep.
and against
So
the Rams.
14, 15, 16, 17.
And 18-19.
Okay.
The year that is being excluded is the year they lost to the Eagles.
Okay.
The question is, name the team that the Patriots beat in the AFC Championship in each of those seasons to make it to the Super Bowl.
Oh, boy.
It's a tough one. Most correct wins. If you guys tie here, we're at a complete... Either way, this deserves a round 2, no doubt. But,
All right.
it's going to be tough.
Watch us tie. We both get like 4.
I
right?
wouldn't be surprised. You're just gonna have to
It's
try
all
to
good.
think of the year and who was good in that era. I'm gonna let you guys think, and when I come back down, I just gotta throw the sandwich away.
Oof. Fucking. This is freaking tough. Like, I know a couple of them, but I'm like sweating over here.
Yeah, it is really tough. Oh, man. I got to start with my football fanship kind of started later than yours did, so the
Yeah,
Giants ones are a little hazy for me. Oh, boy. This is definitely difficult.
I'm like totally fucking choking on the fucking last one
I agree.
too right now.
So obviously the last one was that boring Super Bowl against the Rams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why can I not remember? Oh.
Man. Can't believe. Man. Brady had MVP that year against the Falcons. Too. Boy, this is tough.
This is probably the toughest one, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think where the fuck I was watching that game.
That's what helps me too. It's like you got to think back to where you were when you watch these games, but
All right, I'm good. It's the best I'm gonna get. I think I might have all of them.
all right. Sorry guys, I think
No, you're good.
shoot. All right, I'm just gonna go for it.
All right,
All right.
I'm gonna go first.
Yeah, you can go
Yep.
first.
All right, so 07-08 Chargers, 11-12 Ravens, 14-15 Colts, 16-17 Steelers, 18-19 Chiefs.
Oh boy, that sounds right. I had 07-08. I put Pittsburgh. 11-12. I also put Baltimore. 14-15. I also put Baltimore there. 16-17, I put Pittsburgh, and 18-19, I put Chiefs.
18-19, it was Chiefs.
Yep.
16-17, it was Steelers.
Yep.
14-15, it was Colts. 11-12, Ravens. 07-08, Chargers.
RJ got it. So you won 4-3. Did
You got 4 out of 5.
Or I got. Oh yeah.
The only one you didn't get right was the Chargers.
Oh yeah.
Whew.
Wait, you win all 5?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Holy
The
crap.
Steelers one
You
I
had
was
to dig
blanking
deep.
on. I was blanking on the Chiefs at first too.
I know.
For some reason.
That was like the one that should have been a gimme.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, good. That's
easily
a
our best.
historic trivia matchup right there.
That was a lot of fun, man. That was
Fucking
awesome.
Nerves
Yeah.
are rattling.
That
Double
was dope.
OT
Man.
like that.
Had to go to question 12 to break the
I have
tie.
to shower after this.
I
Oh
know,
my
I'm
god.
nervous.
Yeah.
All right, you guys got anything
Nah,
else?
that was good.
Okay.
Thanks for coming on,
Yeah,
Nick.
Nick,
We
thanks for
appreciate
coming
it.
on. I
Happy
thought
to be here,
you
boys.
did a great
Won't
job.
be the last
We'll
time.
put your name in the hat next time we have somebody else out. I know Norman's going to be real salty, but he'll get his opportunity
We'll get his
eventually.
day. Maybe
But
next time me and him have to go out of trivia, we'll let him come on.
yeah, I
for
think
a
we
while.
will do that. But
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Like I said, Nick, thanks for coming on. Thanks, Jesse, and yeah, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week.
Sweet.